What's up, everyone? Today, I'm actually going to be doing something way different. Um, I'm going to actually be working with Blender in this video to show what I'm working on, but I'm also not going to be doing like any kind of cussing or anything because this is going to be a sneak peek of the characters I'm doing for Roblox. So this is also going to be posted on my YouTube page for Wondersoul Studios. So, um, for that, I'm actually just gonna like turn off my camera because that doesn't need to be on. I don't know why I had that on to begin with. But we're gonna be doing animating, 3D modeling, and so on and so forth. So right now, this is what we have. Is Sans the skeleton here? He's kind of just chilling. We're gonna actually get rid of this hand because reasons. I'm probably gonna edit the jacket in the future, but for now, this is what we got and this is what we're working with. So we are actually I want to test something before I get too far into this video. Okay, all the actions are still here. All right, so for this, we are going to be creating the characters, animating them, so on and so forth. So as of right now, this is what we have for Sans, but we're gonna work on him some more. We also have what's his name? Gaster. This is how he looks right now, but you know, we're gonna get him up to date at some point. So that way he looks close to his uh actual spooky self. So we gotta like work to get him there, you know. So right now, this is how he looks. We're gonna try to like kind of fix the jacket because I don't know why it looks the way it does right now. That looks a little bit better, I think. Yeah, that looks better. All right. So right now we're just gonna focus on Sans and his abilities. So for an example, I'm gonna pull up Roblox Studio and pull up Wondersoul Studios. Or not that. What's it called? Where is the game at? Right here. I made a announcement for those of you that what are curious how the game's doing. We're going to be paying a lot more attention to this. However, we're also going to be working on horror games. So you can expect a bit from us. So right now we're just going to go to the testing room and we're going to try to continue 3D modeling the characters and model designs that we have. And we'll see how this goes. So if you didn't understand what was going on in the previous videos I did, we have a working bone throw, which is just spammable right now. However, I do intend on adding like GUI for the total amount of magic a player can have. We also have a spinning bone, which can be summoned as much as you want. A working Gaster Blaster, which is currently fully animated. However, that's going to get a revamp. We got Bone Cage, which just traps the player in a little square or like circle. We have the Bone Spikes, which does as suggested. It summons a giant bone and it kind of just, you know, pushes an enemy back if they're hit by it. We've got the Darkness Puddle, which is a Nightmare Sands thing. However, I'm going to be creating Nightmare Sands stuff at some point that will allow the player to create these like different abilities. It depends because the characters are probably going to have their own unique tools, but what I might do is I'm probably going to take every tool and combine them into a single tool that you can use. So, for an example, key bindings such as what's it called? Z, X, C, V, whatever. You can click those keys and it'll do something interesting. But if you also didn't know, you can't hurt yourself using your attacks anymore. Similar to what Flagell did, his attacks literally hurt people. So if we went to his game right now, not that you would notice anything too different. I gotta find it quick. 1 second. Where did it go? Right here. And I'm surprised there's even anyone playing this. 94.5 million visits back then. That is crazy. It's very unfortunate though. The game doesn't have anything crazy. Like this is what the characters look like. So I'm gonna just like grab a random character and you'll see what I mean. So let's go for Killer Dust, I guess. Oh, he does have music still. Also, if you didn't recognize, his hood is kind of busted. The game still is kind of fun to play, but only whenever there's like people actually playing it. It's kind of hard to see the character. But yeah, this is the map. I'm trying to revamp it so that way it's there. Actually, I'm just gonna mute the audio. So this is what the game looked like. I can't even hear myself talk, so sorry. But we're gonna go somewhere where there's actually light so that way we can see. This is one of those areas. So this is what the character looks like in the dark, I guess, but we're going to be advancing this. This is how he looks in here, but this is like how he looks for me. I 3D modeled this all by myself, by the way, so we're gonna try to like get further with this and make like an actually good game with that. So I did state I'm in the process of making a horror game. Keep in mind, I literally put down a warning for that game. So if you play it, it's not my fault whatever happens to you. All right. I literally have warnings all over the place, or will have warnings all over the place, because you could be subjected to photosensitivity, flashing lights, loud sounds, uh, epilepsy, whatever. You know, you could be subject to any of those things. But this is the game. I don't know why it's bright as all hell in there, but this is what the character would have looked like in normal terms if the lighting was still existent. The bone throws still work. The gaster blasters still work. However, I don't get why the tears don't move. I think they used to, but they just don't now. We also have the slash, which literally just throws like a giant cut at an enemy. And when I said that the damage is, well, the attacks hurt, if you walk into your own gaster blasters, like, I'm losing health. And that's not exactly fun, is it? When you play a game and you can hurt yourself, but the whole goal is to, like, try to hurt other people, right? It's good, but, you know, that could be fixed. Also, everyone's joining now. What the heck? Crazy. But yeah. Here, I'll be right back. 1 second. Dang, everyone left me. But anyway, yeah, that's the game. We can hurt each other. That's all I wanted to show you. So that's the difference with my game. We're gonna have more characters with more detail. So for an example, the bone spinning is a perfect example. We can't hurt ourselves. It will tell us this here, but it will also hurt the NPC. We can throw like a dozen bones at him. He'll respawn, and we can continue testing. But yeah, the bones hurt the NPC, but it won't hurt the main user. The Gaster Blaster will hurt the NPC, but it won't hurt the main user. The Bone Cage won't do any harm, actually. Because, reason. It's just a bone cage. You can get out of this, but it's designed just to kind of keep the person stuck. We can do stuff like this, kind of surround ourselves with bones for like protection. That depends on what character you're using though. And then we have a fatal error effect, which is just this. It's for fatal error sands. I don't know why I did that, but this would be like a buff to the character if he was like, you know, low or something like that. I don't know. And don't ask about these. These are particle effects I was fixing on using, possibly. For like the characters if we were like punching each other or something, but this was my first ever flipbook animation. I don't think it's that good, but that's what I had. It was supposed to be for Nightmare Sands for like the hand, but I realized I could just like animate an entire hand on my own. So, there's that. But yeah, we have a bunch of stuff that we can use here. We're going to continue animating and working with the other tools. And for this video, we're actually just going to make like new tools. So for an example, let's say like Nightmare Sands wanted to go into a portal, right? To like get away from his enemies. Or not Nightmare Sands. Let's say Air Sands. We could like make a system where a portal would spawn as long as it's like in range of him, you know what I mean? So let's try that actually. We're going to go into the main game and take particle effects that are already there. I'll even give you an example of how the morph looks right now. This is the non-updated one. However, if I was to test the game, he's still there doing nothing. You can click on the character to turn into it. And you can see I fixed the invisibility. But since I have a way of animating now, we can actually make progress with making the character look nice. Where did my phone go? Oh, it's over here. But yeah, that's what the character looks like in game right now. He doesn't have any animations yet, but you know, like I said, I have a way of animating. We're going to get to animating him whenever, you know, we get to that point. But as of right now, these are the particle effects I'm on about. You can actually click on this portal and it'll teleport you. However, we're not going to do that because, well, I don't know why it did it anyway, but yeah. I'm just going to reset and walk back. But yeah, that's the, oh no, I think I know why it still did teleport us. I never did fix that. But yeah, this would be like a portal example for Air Sands. Just like a little warp in the world or whatever. Something I could do. Actually, nah, that wouldn't make any sense. Something I could do would be like to 3D model the parts themselves. But you can kind of see how it's like 2D and it kind of just sticks to the wall that way, which is kind of nice. Personally, I think it's good. But yeah, we're gonna take these particles actually, and we're gonna make it an entire tool. But first, we're gonna keep working on this. So right now, this is just what he looks like. We're gonna do some animating, and in fact, we're going to try to get the character set up because right now I already have animations laid out for him. So, for an example, if we went down here, Okay, I don't know why they're not there, but hold on, let me. Does it even matter? Wait. Because I did just get rid of the armature. No, it doesn't matter that I got rid of the armature, I guess. Unless, wait. We could probably open up a autosave and it would bring it back. Okay, yeah. So here's like all the animations I got for like the characters. I'm actually just gonna save this onto the Sans model so that way it's still there. But these are the animations. I don't want to like get rid of all of these animations though. So hopefully they don't just disappear. Here, so if I like click open and we did the Sans model with my, oh no, they wouldn't be. What the? Okay, so we need the armature here for that, which is kind of a bummer. We can fix that later though. Anyway, we're gonna delete these arms because we're making new ones. So these are like the animation sets that we have. We've got the walking and the idle animation. I gotta work on the idle animation yet, but that's just how it looks. I wish I knew how to remove like a sub action here, but I don't. So that's kind of whatever. So right now, this is just what we have for this. Oh, that's error sans idle. We don't want that. But this is what the idle animation base would look like. His hands just in his pockets. We're gonna try to fix that. So we're gonna take this and just move it down for now. And we're gonna grab all of this and try to like drag it, you know? Drag it back here. There we go. So that way, we can actually make edits to this. There. So now, all the parts are in position. This would be like the base, look for him anyways. But if we need his like hands to be up or something, we can fix that. But that's like the base model for the animation. If we went to anything else, it would snap his hand back. But let's say we wanted to work on him like actually using a move. So for an example, let's try summoning bones, right? So we would click the record button here. And we're gonna select the armature and just kind of like rotate the arm enough, you know, so that way it recognizes like, oh hey, he's doing a thing. And it'll create a keyframe for all those items, right? So we're actually gonna turn that off for a hot second, check and make sure that it's in the right position. So if we went to frame 30 and we click record now, we're gonna move his arm to whatever position we would like this for an example. And we can also control his hands however we want. I gotta work on the hands too, obviously. But yeah, if we remove that now, you can kind of see that's just how it looks. But if we want to fix that, we would go back to here, click record again, and we just bend the arm back to its original position, as well as the bone. So now, if we turn off the record, you can see his arm just moves to however it needs to be. And this would be like an example of like bone summoning. So let's say the arm just moves enough. Not like the arm, but maybe the thumb. Just kind of like gets in the position. Okay. Oh wait, I wasn't even recording, so that wouldn't have mattered. There we go. All right. Now, if we went down here, let's say we wanted to like kind of bend the thumb a little. Something like that. This is how it would look. If we stop recording now, you can kind of see that the hand stays bent for whatever reason. Usually you have to make these like keyframes beforehand. I'm new with animating on Blender, so hear me out. This is a big deal for me personally. So there we go. So you can kind of see now, anytime the hand moves, it kind of like sends it out, you know? However, we want to make it to where, well, actually, this isn't bad for a base animation or like a concept where he's just like putting his hand out and it sends the bone that way, wherever he's facing. Or maybe not wherever he's facing, but maybe he just raises his hand as like a signifier that he's using that. But we can save that. But yeah, we could make some working, what's it called? Nightmare Sans animations as well. However, this means you would have to make edits to the base model, which I'm perfectly fine with. So let's actually try that. We're gonna create a new animation. There's not a base error animation. So what I'm gonna do, we have it saved. So I'm gonna click Ink Sans. We're gonna copy the name. New action. And we're gonna change this to Nightmare Sans Idle. However, we're gonna use the B, and we're gonna make a new action, paste the name, and we're gonna say, let's call it tentacle. I don't know about tentacle swipe, or like maybe tentacle stabbing. We could try that, like tentacle stab. Or what's the name of that? Quadro tentacle piercing or something like that. Quadro tentacle piercing. Or stab. Yeah, we'll just go with that. And we'll save it this way. So let's go ahead and like make the tentacles for the character. So for Nightmare Sans, we're actually just gonna remove any like thing we see here. So let's go to the like, let's see. Let's go to MISC and remove the Killer Sans items since they're not necessary. We're gonna go to hoods and put the hood down for now. Okay, hold on. Because obviously I forgot to do something. Okay, I gotta just parent this here. All right. So this is what the hood would look like. Now, we can put the hood down and it'll look this way. I gotta work on it anyway, but this is what the hood looks like for now. I think I'm actually gonna move this just a little. So that way we can like see the base of the hood, you know what I mean? And it doesn't look weird or anything like that. If I can. Okay, we're just gonna have to live with doing this then, I guess. That'll be fine for now until we get like a smooth shader thing in there. So Nightmare Sans. We're gonna make like a new MISC thing here. like a new folder, and we're gonna call it Nightmare Sands. The best part about Blender is you can organize the files wherever you wish. However, we're gonna leave it where it was. So for Nightmare Sands, if we want like tentacles, there is a way we can do this. So if we put in, let's say circle, right? Like curved circle. Wait, why isn't it? Wait a minute. Okay, how about curved path? I'm a little confused. I couldn't tell you. Anyway. There's that. Still can't find the circle. Oh, it's just stupid small. I don't know why it's this small either. That's kind of weird, not gonna lie. Okay, whatever. We'll try to work with it. Let's do this instead then. We'll just create a cone. Why is everything like so small? Okay, you know what? We're just gonna enable everything. We're actually, no, we're not. What the heck, man? Why is everything so tiny? Like, bruh. Scale, like 5 for everything. I really couldn't tell you why everything's so freaking big. So here's what I'm gonna do. We're just gonna enable everything, and then we're gonna shrink the stuff down. And hopefully this fixes our problem. Jackets are all on. That's all on. This is all on. I hope Blender doesn't crash while I'm doing this. Alright, we're just gonna select everything and shrink it. In fact, can we like snap this to the cursor? Okay, I figured out what button it was for that. Okay, so there we go. We're gonna keep like resizing this until it gets to the spot we need it to be at. There we go. So this works. I don't know why the camera's doing this. I'll have to fix that. How do I fix that? Where would I fix that, in fact? Like, that's wrong. It was set to like 50 previously. Okay, I can zoom in a decent distance at least and not suffer dearly for it. So I could probably like zoom in as much as I want now, yeah. So that's helpful. Anyway, I guess we're gonna have to remove the, what's it called? The ground? Where would that be located? The grid. Yeah, the floor, there we go. I think that did it. Looks like it did. Anything else I'd have to remove? Okay, there goes that. Alright. We're back in business. I don't know why I have a fell hood on here. Don't ask. We don't need a fell sans hood, actually. Because we have other hoodies. Anyway, we're probably gonna have to like disable a lot of these hoods now. So outer sands, let's start off with the skulls. Turn all these off. Then we're gonna turn off all these mouths. We don't need a dust sans mouth. Eyes, this is fine as is. We're just gonna remove the eyes though. Keep the normal sans eyes. The spines are fine, the legs are fine. Hoods, jackets, t-shirts, shoes, pants, gloves, socks, misc. We're just gonna turn all of these off. There we go. All right, so this would be base sans, right? We're gonna work on creating his, what's it called? What did I do to like get that pulled up? It's whatever. We're gonna try to create the Nightmare Sans tentacle, so we can spawn in this now. And what we're gonna do, this is gonna be weird to edit, isn't it? We're gonna do this, drag this down as far as we want. My mom's coming down the stairs. Here, 1 second. If I could pause. Okay, I'm back. So we're gonna continue working on Nightmare Sans. We're gonna resize the model to however we need it to be. So we're gonna position the tentacles on the back here, like something like this. So something like that. Let's add a, what's it called? A smooth corrective and see what that looks like. Okay, we're not gonna do a smooth corrective then. Alright, there we go. So this is like the base of the tentacle, then we'll use that as just the base. We're gonna get rid of that and fix it like this. So, with it the way it is now, we should be able to add bones to this. So we're gonna create a new armature. Why is that like What? Okay. I'm starting to get a little confused because that bone was bigger than the entire freaking model, and I'm getting nervous about this now. But we're gonna try to work with it. In fact, forget that bone. We're just gonna adopt this one. We're gonna separate that bone. So that way it's like its own thing. And we'll parent it to this. So anyway, let's move the base to there. And then there we go. We have a... Hold on. Alright, sorry for the repeated pausing. My mom keeps asking me for stuff. So, this is how the bone's gonna look anyway. For the tentacles, we're gonna animate these inside of Roblox. We're probably... I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Because... hold on. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and put the salt in the water softener because my mom wants me to do that really quick. 1 second. Alright, I am back temporarily. This is off topic, but my mom found the hoverboard charger, so I'm going to plug it in. If I can find a spot to plug it in at. Looks like it's on. Alright. So, like I said, I know this is off topic, but my mom found my hoverboard charger and I'm a little excited to try it out. So I'm gonna plug it in. Not that I remember how to balance on it, but we'll see. And it still turns on, so that's cool. And I forgot, whenever it gets low on battery, it stops, like, working. So, there's that. So anyway, if we wanted this tentacle to, like, move around, what we can do, we're gonna actually parent the model 2 here with automatic weights, since we don't need anything too crazy. And from here, we can actually kind of move this mesh around however we want. However, we want to like add a bunch of like vertices or whatnot to this, so that way it like moves however we please. So if we had to like go to this now, you could see it bends a little bit better. We can also add bending bones like segments. So for an example, that's set to 20. We can also set this to 20 and this to 20. So that way, anytime we bend a bone, you know, it has a smooth bend. And the tentacles don't need to be perfect, obviously, but, you know, that's just how they look then, you know? So if we went into the wireframe and we went in here, you can kind of see that some of the vertices don't bend like we want them to. So if we had to like go out of this for a second and select that, a way to do this, we can add subdivision surface and kind of do whatever we have to with it, I guess. Here, hold on a second, because something isn't adding up here. Okay, I think I know what's wrong with it anyway, but aside from that, we can just do this. There we go. So we can subdivide that as many times as we want. And this is just how the tentacle will look. If we have to, we can add more bones. Like for an example, we could bring that further up, and that will be like the point of the tentacle instead. We can even subdivide this, and it would probably still work the same way. Yeah, it kind of does. But let's say we unparented this, right? Like, let's fix the rotation of this. So there's this bone right here. What does it mean by location? Okay, that's obviously not right. Okay, in here, I think. Okay, yeah, so if we set these to like whatever we need them to be, like 0, it'll straighten out the tentacle. A way we can fix this to make this more accurate, we can select here, select the tip of the bone, and position it at the cursor. And then we can unparent these from each other and then reparent them with the automatic weights, and it should work as like normal, you know. You can see the tip of the tentacle does its job with everything, so that's cool. We can do that with Nightmare Sands. So since we have that, we can kind of like control these parts however we want. However, we got to use the bones to position it where we need it to be. So for an example, let's say here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna rotate the bones and kind of like just press them in on the back. We're gonna duplicate both of these for now and make sure that this works still. Yeah, it still works. So, we are going to duplicate this and we're going to try to rotate it to wherever we want it to be, like 25 degrees that way, and then maybe 25 degrees this way. We can kind of rotate it more if we have to. Maybe like another 25 degrees for each. Now, Nightmare Sands is usually seen with like multiple tentacles on his back. So if we go to the what's it called? Let's see. We'll say Nightmare or no. Underverse. That's the name of the series. So in Underverse, in places like here, you can see that's just a tentacle, but there are scenes where he's spotted with multiple. We would just have to find it. I'd say this is one of those scenes. Yeah, right here. There's like a tentacle there. And then there's like 2 more here. So yeah, you can kind of see that here. My question is, I guess Dream Sands can teleport from place to place too. So this saying or suggesting he can move from AU to AU. But yeah, this is just base model for Nightmare Sands. Let's say we want to actually add the tentacle effects. That's still doing that. let's say we want to add the texture for the tentacles real quick. Let's say we want to do like a glossy or glossy, something like that. We'll see how this looks. So there's glossy, there's glass. Wasn't there like yeah, metallic. There we go. So we set the base color to like a dark black color, but we change the reflection to like the, whatever this is. You can kind of see that now we kind of have like an example of the nightmare look or nightmare-ish look that it has. So we can also apply this to the other tentacle if we need it. Now keep in mind this is probably not going to be easy to animate considering I'm probably going to have to run scripts for this, and this is also going to suggest that I'm probably going to have to like use the scripts to animate these parts. Otherwise, I could probably like pause the animation and let the scripts like do their job, and then the animations can continue playing. However, I haven't done enough testing with animating between Roblox Studio or Blender yet, so I'll let you guys know what that looks like in the future. But that's just what we have for now. So going back to this, we got to select these, and we got to drag them to the nightmare sand stuff. So let's, we're just going to grab the bones, and we're also going to drag them into here. So where would that be? Here's a part. We're going to move that in. However, we do need to see where the rigs are. So there's rig number 1, and here's rig number 2. We're going to try to move them into here, if that's possible. Looks like it was. So, as you can see, everything's here now. Nothing's like really out of place. I guess we still had a part that was not necessary in here. We might resize everything later if we have to. We'll see how this goes first though. So anyway, this would be the tentacles. We can rotate that to wherever we need it to be. We're going to actually we're going to get rid of the base tentacle. But yeah. There would be like nightmare parts. Let's say we want to like have Nightmare Sans have one of those like hands, because he's seen in one of these scenes fighting Ink Sans where he does actually do this. So let's go ahead and find that. He's like fighting Ink Sans when this happens too, wherever that is. I think that'd be located here. Where would Nightmare Sans be located here, though? Yep, right here. So he like summons a tentacle and it spawns like a giant hand to block an oncoming attack. That's something I want to work on for the character, is having the capability to block attacks in general. But here's something else we're gonna do as a plus to that. Let's add the arrows to the game. So let's see. Can we even? We can add the floor back, but where is it located? I can't like change the position of the floor either. Which is a bit unfortunate for this. Oh, I can move like the 3D cursor around too. I didn't even know that. All right. Well, anyway, working with that. Let's see. I'm actually gonna set the rotation to this to 0. But yeah, we got like the base parts for Nightmare Sands already, or like base examples. If we had to set this to render mode, you wouldn't really see anything. I don't know why it looks like this, but this is kind of cool. So if we went, well, I guess it's kind of set how it is, isn't it? So let's say we went to the materials tab. We would have to find that actually. Okay, so the character is found like downward here somewhere. God only knows where. So we're just going to resize these parts until they reach the desired location. So these are just eye color previews. They're nothing too important. But yeah, we got that. But yeah, we got this running. So like I said, I'm going to be working on this a lot. Thank you for watching this 1 hour example of like animating and modeling. I haven't decided if I'm going to post this on Wondersoul Studios YouTube page yet, but we'll see. I'll think about it. If not, you'll still see it here. This is just an example of me doing my work and editing. So I will see you guys in the next video at some point today. I haven't really gotten into Zoocosis too crazy because we've already finished the game in the second episode. However, I will do recordings for that whenever I can, if I like play that again. But yeah, this is what we got for now. I've shown you the characters and what they're supposed to look like and how they're represented in here. We're also going to be remodeling this, so don't worry. This is going to be way more detailed in the future, and hopefully it looks way smoother and nicer in game, so you guys can enjoy all of the animation tracks and everything about the game as it is. So, like I said, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a good day, night, holiday, wherever you are, and I'll see you then. Later.